Hello everybody! Today we're going to take a look at Streets of Rogue. And if you spell it incorrectly, it becomes Streets of Rouge, which sounds like some sort of Broadway play. So, this is a very interesting little game. It is effectively a Binding of Isaac or Nuclear Throne or Enter the Gungeon style roguelite meets something like Deus Ex, which is a combination that I've never really seen before, and I doubt anyone else really has either, especially to this degree, because as far as I'm aware, this is pretty much the only game that's tried something like that, and it has pulled it off pretty darn well. So this is your home base. This is where you will begin the game, and this is where you will return to whenever you die. And you use this to... this is kind of your... this is like the breach in Gungeon. This is where you go to unlock things to further the progression of your characters, etc., etc. Not everything is currently available right now, so I can't show you everything, but effectively this is what you spend your permanent currency on, and the permanent currency happens to be chicken nuggets, for reasons, and you will earn these from leveling up by playing, from completing side quests as you're playing and things like that, and you keep them when you die. Go back here and spend them to unlock more things, and I'll probably try and explain some of the things that you can unlock as we actually play. But just so you know, those up there, those nuggets, those are your actual permanent sort of progression system that a lot of roguelites have. They're basically the hegemony credits from Enter the Gungeon. There's quite a bit of coming soon going on here. This game is, of course, in early access, but what is currently here is actually very complete. As you can see down there at the bottom, it is indeed in alpha, but alpha is actually a fairly generous term if you consider the amount of content and playability that's here. But anyway, speaking of playability, let's play the ability. So when you actually go to, well, way up here, go to this elevator, teleporter, ideally, elevator, that's what it is, you can select a character. And this is your character select screen. It's actually fairly important to remember this because it shows you how much variety in gameplay styles is actually in the game. All you have to do is sort of hover over a character that you do not have unlocked, click it, and it will tell you what you need to do to get a hold of it. And some of them are actually quite difficult to get a hold of. Like I'm getting $500 in a single game. That's actually pretty difficult. There's a cannibal. You can also take a look at what you do have unlocked, and it will show you quite a vast suite of abilities and stats and traits and things. And a little bit of customization there, and a nice little write-up to the side that's usually quite funny. And there's a lot for every one of these, and everything is a bit different. For instance, if you go to someone like, the shapeshifter. Yeah, there's a shapeshifter. Go to someone like the soldier. This is your just kill everyone class. Everything, yes, Modern Warfare. Everything in this class is geared towards shooting the problems and blowing the problems up. However, if you go to the doctor, this is your stealth gameplay class, effectively. They are a pacifist. They cannot use weapons, and they have a chloroform hanky, where you can sneak up behind people and knock them out with chloroform, because that's what doctors do. There's also a gorilla in which you gorilla, in case you want to gorilla. And you can be pretty much whatever you want to be, and unlocking the others is just a matter of, playing the game in a specific way with a specific character that is more geared towards that way, in order to try and see what you can do. And I think I'm going to choose the vampire here, because I've never actually tried out the vampire, and it seems like fun. You can sneak up behind people and drain their blood for health. You do not get healing from normal items, and you're invisible to security cameras, because, vampire. You can also do some customization there, but the game has a pretty good sense of humor in the write-ups and the text and dialogue and things. It's pretty great. I mean, even the beginning, the tutorial has a Deus Ex reference, where if you go into the women's bathroom in the beginning, it actually gives you a reference to the very first intro mission in Deus Ex when you do that in the UNATCO headquarters. It's pretty much exactly the same. The game very much wearing its influences on its sleeve. So, I mentioned missions, and here you go. My missions are to neutralize this doctor. Notice it says neutralize, not kill. That's important later. And to retrieve the MacGuffin muffin from this safe in this nearby building here. And I will get different rewards for each mission. And that's what I have to do. I'm just put in a randomly generated area and given random missions to do certain things. And once you do all of the missions you're given, you move to the exit up there, represented by this E, and that's an elevator that will take you to the next area where you will get more missions, and that's what you'll do. Sounds fairly simple, but it's really not. Because of all of the variety in the areas that you're going to be seeing here, the areas are actually quite alive. Very much like Deus Ex, when you go around, you'll see that the areas have a lot going on, with or without the player. Like that right there, that office drone guy was getting pissed off because a thief had entered his building. And now that's going to cause some problems because he might be agitated, and it may make it more difficult for me to get in there if I need to, which I do because the safe is behind him. I may be able to use those thieves to my advantage, depending on what character class I am or what items I happen to get. You know, very much like, again, Deus Ex and games like that, where the world is, well, it doesn't revolve around you, and it keeps going whether you like it or not, and you're trying to find the best way to insert yourself to complete your objectives in whatever gameplay style you've chosen to do them. And actually doing that can be either really challenging or, you know, highly rewarding, depending on what it is, often both, depending on what you're actually doing. Now here we've got this bartender that's heavily armed, and I would kind of like to have that revolver, but getting it would involve killing him, most likely. And he's got a drug dealer and a gangster inside. He's got a bit of a protection racket going on here, and there's also a chest behind him that I would like to get a hold of, but, you know, just trying to punch him would be not advisable. I do have some cigarettes, and for instance, here's one of the things you can do, an alternate path of actually affecting people. You can smoke the cigarettes if you want to, I don't know why you would, but you can also put the cigarettes in the air purification system behind certain buildings, and they will pump the smoke into the building, which will actually hurt people and make them run out. And so you can actually try and stealth your way into the building, depending on if it has multiple entrances or if you can get in windows. Again, very much depending on what character you're playing and your playstyle and your items and things like that. And depending on what you put in the filtration system, it may even kill people. And in this case, cigarettes will not kill, at least not this year. And it will make them sort of angry and leave, though. Of course, I don't necessarily want to be standing right next to the filtration system after I do it, though, because some of the time they actually will come out and investigate the system. And if I'm standing there like a moron, they'll, you know, realize that I did it and start shooting at me and beating me with a baseball bat. I did find a rock, however. And although that may seem like a very primitive thing, rocks actually have a variety of uses. You can throw them to distract people, you can break windows with them, you can trigger that, for instance, which is a door charge. It's specifically meant to blow open doors. And since it is explosive, it has a blast radius and can hurt people a lot. Now that type of door means that when you go into that building, anyone inside will become hostile because you're not supposed to be there. It's basically a no-go zone. And that right there is that dark blue tile is a trap. I don't want to step on it. It can trigger a variety of things. Now that room has all kinds of things like a security cam, a laser, a tripwire, a turret. I don't want to be in there because there's really nothing in there that I need. And the turret will shoot me probably. But what I do need is to neutralize this doctor. And interestingly enough, it does say neutralize, so you can knock them out or kill them. Oh. Well, that didn't work. Guess I have to be a little closer. Okay, too close. Nope. Bad idea. And of course, now everyone heard the explosion, and oh god, walked on that, got hit by a slow dart, and now things are falling apart. I did get him to punch the doctor for me and do a little damage, which was kind of funny. Now, as a vampire, I'm actually quite strong. My punches have a lot of knockback and do a lot of damage. But now I'm hurt quite badly, and unfortunately, I don't have a good way to heal myself, because food, the normal healing item in the game, like beer, very healthy, and bananas, beer and bananas, perfect. Well, as you can see here, yeah, it doesn't do anything for me. I have to drain blood. Just one of the concessions of choosing this particular playstyle, this particular character. So I'm going to go up here where there are less people to see me and start doing just that because I need some health back so I don't immediately die on the first level. And there was a witness. No more witnesses. Got it. That appears to be a casino of some kind. And there's the exit for the level, of course, but in order to do that I have to actually, you know, at least complete an objective. So I should really be finding that doctor because she was very heavily damaged. There she is. I should be able to just... Yeah, there we go. And there's one. And now I got a reward, the ammo stealer, which allows me to teleport ammunition directly out of enemies' weapons and into my inventory, which is kind of hilarious. I don't have a weapon to use any of it right now, but we'll see how that goes. And I think you're kind of getting the idea already. You're exploring in these fairly open levels, doing things in the way that you want to do them with the character that you've chosen, with the playstyle that you've decided to adopt for this particular run-through, and finding out what you can and can't do. For instance, there are lots of chests around here. They probably have some really good gear in them, but can I reliably get to them without getting myself shot in the face? I don't know for sure. I may have to try, though. In this case, I would like to really get that safe, obviously, but I'm going to need the key and the safe combination and all that. Normally I would do something like, you know, maybe throw a rock at a window to distract him, but I'm just going to run behind. And there we go. Got what I needed from him. We do have a witness, however, and that cannot be allowed. This vampire leaves no witnesses. Except for everyone else. Okay, so out through here, and just to show, even though these cameras will not spot me, you can do things like this. You can attempt to disable them if you wish, and different characters have a different skill level at doing so, of course. And if you do not do it right, then that's a problem. Or you can do this and stand in the sort of blind spot right under it, which is kind of a nice way to do it in a 2D, nice way to show how that works in a 2D perspective. Now, I could technically leave if I wanted, but in classic roguelite style, there's a lot more of the level to explore, and there's maybe some goodies that I would like to have. Because, of course, the further levels are only going to get more difficult. I'd like to be more well-armed. So let's pollute the air with some nicotine. Good old cigarettes, and hide behind this oddly positioned backwards H. And they don't seem to be too miffed about it. They're hurt a little bit. And I'll take this opportunity to drain this guy. They don't seem to have seen. I don't think. Did they see? Alright. Now, this is a bit of a problem. It didn't quite work like I'd hoped, but I think the best way to go would be to just drain the guy with a ranged weapon, so that if the other guy does see, I'll have a chance to get away. Other way around seems like a bad way to do it, but I did get his shotgun. I thought it was a revolver. It's actually a shotgun. I was wrong. And I can now use this key and see what's in the chest, which is, oh, a bracelet of strength. Which, yes, there is equipment that you can wear. You can get armor and helmets and rings and all kinds of stuff like that, and they equip up there, and they do have durability. As you use them, get hit, and things like that, that durability will decrease, and eventually they will break. So I've got some fairly good gear now. I think I should sort of cut my losses and get out of here and move on to the next area. So let's do just that. Now at the end, you'll get some experience based on how you actually did the level. Like, for instance, if you didn't kill anyone, you'll get a big bonus if you weren't spotted at all. If you killed a bunch of people, or if you destroyed a whole bunch of the environment, all the buildings and walls and stuff are indeed destructible. You know, basically any sort of permutation of how you could have played the level. If you did it enough, you will get bonuses for it, again, like Deus Ex. And that experience is going to go towards getting a level. So I did level up, and got some nugs, and now, because I leveled up, I can also choose a trait. You can only choose a trait when you get to the next floor. If you level up in the middle of gameplay, your health will be restored, but you won't be able to choose a trait until you get to the elevator. Something to remember. You can also, you'll be able to choose from 3 different traits, but there is a trait that allows you to choose from 4, and also a character that starts with that. And they're all quite nice, really. Ooh, crit chance is really useful. The doing something when his handy 2 nimble fingers is nice, because really good for like stealthy characters and things like that. It allows you to perform actions much more quickly and hopefully not get spotted while you're doing them, because you do them a lot faster and can just leave. And having your map filled out from the very beginning is nice too, so you know where you can kind of come up with a better plan right from the start of where you want to go. But I'm going to go with crit chance, because I'm a vampire. A very aggressive one, apparently. That's what I've decided. I'm going to play this character. And here we are. So, there are basically a few levels of each sort of tile set. I'm in the slum, as you can see, and each one gets larger and more complex. And then eventually you'll move on to the next tile set. For instance, the one after this is actually an industrial part of the city that has lots of like lava and fire and stuff everywhere, and like, you know, factorization around it. It's very unlike the slum. It's actually quite a bit different. Now we have 3 different objectives. I have to operate those switches, I have to retrieve a will from a bartender and get a food processor, because that's how that works, and I have to rescue a gorilla for some grenades. And, I mean, why wouldn't I want to do that? So we're gonna go do that. Also, that M up there is a side quest. There are usually side quests around the later areas that allow you to do an extra bit of questing if you choose to do so. It's optional, and you'll usually get some chicken nuggets for it. A very good reward, if I do say so. I think with my strength, yeah, there we go. High strength, I can just knock the door down after enough hits, and no one was close enough to hear it. There are the gorillas. How will I do this? Well, I'm an aggressive, highly powered vampire with a strength bonus, so I'm just going to punch the scientist through the bars. There we go. And then take his key and free the other one. There we go. I have to, of course, escort him down to where I came in, and then I'll get my reward. Not a problem. Grenades! As if I needed help breaking things. Now I can also blow them up. So, yeah, that is Streets of Rogue in a nutshell. It's actually highly, highly enjoyable, because the ideas in it are the ideas of much larger games, like Deus Ex, condensed into a 2D roguelite, very repeatable game that is still able to retain all of that in fine style, and without actually it's able to condense it without watering it down. Now it sounds like I'm talking about soup. And it is able to keep it fresh and interesting the whole way through by allowing you very much to choose your own playstyle, and for each character to play quite a bit differently, so every time you die and start again, it feels different because you can just play a very different way next time and try something else ridiculous. Oh, we have a slave master here. Might as well just, looks like a gimp. That's interesting. Uh-oh. I may have... Oh god. The gimps are quite strong. I have created quite the scuffle here, and now the police are involved. You can also, of course, create things like this in the middle of the matches in the middle of the map, and have just a mess of people punching each other. There are also, I've noticed, really interesting, what would I call them? Mutators, I guess? That can appear on levels. Usually on the 3rd level of the slums, for instance, you'll get one that will alter the way the level works. Make it more difficult for you oftentimes. Also, there's oftentimes like a giant death robot that follows you around, but we'll not mention that. You can discover that on your own. There will be like modifiers or mutators to how the level works, which is kind of amazing. And you'll get things like giant riots or meteor showers, or I think there was one where like lightning was striking randomly and like blowing things up. It can just alter the way the level works significantly, and it can mess around with your playstyle or how you're trying to do things. Like, I got the, I think it was lightning or meteors. I think it was meteors, actually, where I was trying to play the stealthy doctor, but every time I stood still for a second to sneak around, a meteor would just blow out a wall of like a nearby house, and I would just kind of have to deal with that. And it very much changes the way that the entire map operates and the way that you solve your problems, most likely, which is fun. I'm not doing so well right now, though. I have to admit that this game is actually quite hard. You take a lot of damage, and healing a lot isn't necessarily easy depending on who you're playing. And the levels only get larger and more complex, especially once you get to the second tile set, the factory areas. I want to get in that door, but I don't have a key, and I'm not a character that can lockpick, so when in doubt, blow it up, I suppose. So I'm going to go up here, and yeah, you can't smack the door down. It's steel, so we're just going to blow up the wall and see what's in this chest. Probably should go with the shotgun. Oh, just money. Oh well. I'm trying to operate all these switches, but I feel like I may be nearing my end here because this isn't going so well. You can even like hack these computers in different ways with different characters, even from a distance. Oh, that would be rude. Okay, and different characters also have different selections of things they can do with those computers as well, which is cool. Does he see me? I don't think he sees me. Alright, we'll deal with that. There we go. Done. Not a oh no! There was a hole. I didn't see that. I died. I fell down a hole and died from falling down a hole. Whoops. Vampires can't fly. So that was that. I think really quick I should just kind of close it off by showing you the very violent destroy everything route of the soldier. We are a red-haired soldier with a handlebar mustache. Definitely. As pale as possible. Almost translucent. Oh my god. Perfect. Yep. Yeah, so we're going to start with like a machine gun and some grenades and mines and yeah. But anyway, this is Streets of Rogue. I should also point out that even in its earlier state, it even has co-op. It has 1 to 4 player, local and online co-op. Although I have to imagine that co-op is maybe optional in a game like this, and screwing each other over by like destroying each other's objectives may indeed happen, which would be a lot of fun. So yeah, I've heard that the online is a little more buggy than the other parts of the game right now, which is to be expected in an alpha, but the fact that it's even there and is actually quite workable is impressive. You can also, of course, play on the same PC, local if you want, and do things like one person plays with the keyboard and other people can play with controllers. That is supported and works very well. And if you're wondering about the price, the game currently in early access is $15. I think that's fair. What you got here is highly polished. There's a lot of content, and there's a lot more to come. So I think $15 is a fair asking price for what's available. If you want to check it out, as usual, the link is in the description below this video, as I just murder everything. And you can take a look at the Steam page if you are finding that you want to maybe hold off a little bit, because it's an alpha and early access. I understand. And I'll try and maybe produce a bit more later when there are some larger changes. And really just keep an eye on it, because it's basically a one-man development team, as far as I'm aware, and I mean for the most part. And he's doing quite a bang-up job on this, and it's really become quite the interesting and fantastic specimen of what you can apply roguelite mechanics to make a really different style of game out of. It's a lot of fun. Ow. And I think that it's definitely worthy of play or keeping an eye on, so that's that. Everyone, thank you very much for watching, and please do check this game out if it seems like it's something for you. It's had a lot of recent updates as well, I should say, and they just are, you know, coming in more. The developer is listening repeatedly to feedback and community suggestions and, hey, more nugs, and other things like that. So, yeah, that's Streets of Rogue. Check it out. I'll see you guys next time.